Mm. All right.
Okay. And we are back. Hello, everyone. Today, hi, Maude. I'm so happy to be here with my very dear friend, Madeline. And we have known each other for, gosh, 5 years now, 5, 6 years, something like that.
A little over 5.
Okay,
Yes.
a little over 5. Yeah. And Maude is going to talk about her awakening process. I'm so happy to sit with her and as she shares her experiences and where she's moving forward with that type of thing. Welcome, Maude.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Sharon.
Yeah, it's so nice to see your face, your beautiful face again.
You too. I haven't, so you didn't tell him. So you're in Portland. I'm in Utah. I met you 5 years ago while I was in Portland.
That's right.
At the start of my awakening and just going from there. So we've been in touch since.
Yes, totally. Yeah. So she's had quite the journey, and it's just the beginning,
Oh yes, this is so true.
Let me share a little bit about you, and then we'll talk. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let me pull it up here. Okay, a unique soul born and raised in Miami, Florida. Maude spent most of her adulthood in Idaho, Utah, and Oregon. At the golden age of 30, she stepped into a spiritual path outside of her Mormon faith and allowed her soul to embark into a life-changing journey. Within the last 5 years, she has dedicated her time to her spiritual growth, traveled to Asia to learn Reiki, enhanced her wellness with mastering a daily meditation practice, and learning about her mediumship abilities. As a licensed esthetician, Maude is always inspired by the beauty of the world and seeing it in others. She is now redirecting her soul mission in helping others to see the beauty of their souls by teaching others to go within themselves to their beautiful healing process. Beautiful.
Nice. Thank you.
So would you share a little bit about your background as you just share with us how you got to where you are, and just let us know what you're doing.
Well, I'm gonna make sure I'm not long-winded because the story can go for days.
No, I get it.
But I feel like there was never a start per se. I feel like life is always presenting an opportunity for spiritual awakening and growth. When I was a kid, I did experience seeing and hearing spirits around me, and it ended shortly after. So I never thought about it, but I felt like I've always been aware of something within myself. So I would always be talking to myself. I'd always wonder about what happened to people after they died. And I'm an empath as well, so I get very sensitive around topics like that. I'm very sensitive around people, their emotions and feelings. So I've always been that type of individual. And I guess when I was in Oregon, I was there for about 4 years. And that last year in that journey, one of my good friends passed away, and that sparked again the question of how. And I never had anyone, I've had people die in my life, but for this particular person to pass, especially the way that they did, it triggered something in me where I had all the questions about why it happened, where is this person, and how come it wasn't me, because this was such an amazing person. How does the universe just take away someone like that, just like that, at that age? And we were in our mid to late 20s at that time. So you can only imagine, you're wondering, man, we still had the rest of our lives ahead of us. How does this make sense? So I had a lot of questions. And like I said in my bio, I was Mormon for quite some time, and I started questioning that. And I couldn't find answers in Mormon church where I was at that moment with my friend's passing. And I had a lot of things shortly after those questionings where I was in contact with the other side of the veil, if you will. And it freaked me out. I had no idea what was going on. And I was guided to you, Sharon. I was just like flipping on my phone on Google. I was like, something is going on. I need to figure it out. And I just happened to come in contact with you. So that's where it became more of a conscious spiritual journey, where I was aware of like, okay, now something's really going on and I need to see what it's going to be for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. I remember that you were freaked out about spirits, seeing spirits and all that, right? In your room and around you, that type of thing.
Yeah, I couldn't sleep. I was like, someone is in this room. And it was so funny, like all of my clairs were opened. And I was like, what is this? These are the things that people will spend so much time and effort to open up their clairs. Everything was opened and I was not expecting it. And it freaked me out so much that I shut it off. And then I went into like, okay, what's going on, and getting comfortable with what was going on, because I had no idea. These were not things that, you know, I didn't tell my mom growing up, oh, I saw a little boy running and then something was in the sky, and, you know, my brothers didn't see it, but only I could see it. And I didn't think to tell her, but I don't think my mom would have been able to understand that. And then I feel like within the Mormon church, as much as they praise, you know, personal revelation and that angels can come down and speak to us, but at the same time, it wasn't a common thing to talk about. And if you did, it probably could have been my imagination, or worse, the devil. Yeah. So I couldn't go to my church leaders and friends. It felt so uncomfortable. I couldn't go to my family because it felt so uncomfortable. And even meeting with you, I kind of kept that to myself for the longest time. And funny enough, all these years later, I've been like, you know what? I'm just going to tell her I'm going to go see my therapist. Anytime I meet with Sharon, it's like, yeah, I'm just seeing my therapist. Because no one, till this day, not a lot of people understand what I've gone through and what my journey is about. So having that support from you really brought it here 5 years later, where I'm like, oh. And it's so funny, in the last 6 to 9 months, 2021, where we've talked, where everything you were trying to tell me 5 years ago finally made sense. I was like, oh, that's what she meant. What? So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we're all here to help each other out, and I find that we leave breadcrumbs along the way in our soul growth, and so it's up to us to pay attention, right? And things get in the way definitely every once in a while. But you've done you've done such amazing work, and I know that it hasn't been easy for you either.
Oh no, it's not. It still isn't cute. I'm still healing. I got myself to a place where I can accept looking into myself. Like, you know, we've gone into past lives. I've brought up some of my shadow work that have been like lingering around, and I'm just like, what is this? And finally being able to acknowledge it and put light and love in it, where that pushed my healing and my awakening even further. And something like that, some people wait so long or a lifetime to get there, and healing can be instant. And the last few months have taught me that it can be instant, but then at the same time, it's not. If you go back to fear, all of that work that you've put into puts you 10 steps back. And I've seen that, where it's like, you know, I'm not going to dig into this old wound or go back in the closet, expect all these skeletons to come falling out. And now it's like, like you said, it's the beginning. I'm like, okay, well,
Mhm.
how do I live my life now? How do I make this new me work? Because I don't have this so much of this baggage lingering around.
Right.
And I have a sense of I can breathe, I can be myself. I think you remember one of our calls the last couple of months where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost the end of the world, it feels like, and I'm finally making sense of what life really means. And so I'm savoring every moment and being in gratitude. And so, yeah, it's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, good, good. So I know that you have, well, we talked a little bit about how your views, I guess, have changed on your
Mhm.
spiritual progress with, and I'm not knocking Mormons or anything like that, the difference between maybe religion and spirituality, right? Can you share a
Yeah.
little bit about how, and I'm not, there's all types of religions, and I feel that they all have something good to offer.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, because I was raised Catholic, so it just like you were saying, they don't have a real positive view on what I do, or spiritual progress, or
Yeah.
that kind of thing, or what, the metaphysical world or metaphysical teachings, that type of thing. So especially
Yeah.
mediumship. So can you share a little bit about how maybe your perceptions have changed on religion and spirituality, or the difference between those?
Um, Gosh, I mean, that one is definitely a sensitive topic, more so because it still exists in our reality. And I don't want to disrespect anyone. I don't want to
Hmm.
disrespect where I've come from. I feel like the Mormon church has served me in so many positive ways of where I could even be here today, honestly.
Sure.
But at the same time, there was this hold. It was holding a part of me back. And I feel like with religion, it always stemmed into being worthy of love, being worthy of love from God. Like you had to be so pure, so good, perfect to make it to heaven. And that kind of tripped me up a little bit because, I'm still working on my self confidence and stuff. And the thought of like, oh, I did something and I feel so horrible about myself that I can't even love myself because I've done this wrong thing, or I'm less than because I didn't reach this point into, my walk with God or whatever, where I could just be perfect. I'm perfect all the time.
Mhm.
And that puts pressure. And a lot of, so I studied sociology at BYU, Idaho. And we studied a lot about the Mormon church, the culture of the church. And within Utah and within the church, there's a huge population and usage of antidepressants and anxiety medication,
Wow.
and leading into even a huge influx in cosmetic surgery. So a lot of push of where people feel less than of who they really are. There's always this comparison of like, well, sister so and so is doing this and brother so and so is doing this. Or for me, perfect example, at 30, I wasn't married and
Mm,
I was looked down upon, and that did a
mm,
number on my self-esteem and my worthiness as a woman. And
mhm.
so there's a lot of little teachings and dynamics within the culture itself of church that can really do something to somebody's self-esteem and confidence and their self-worth, where you can't see your full self and the love that you are because you're holding yourself against the standard that men have created. And one of the biggest things that has helped me in this healing journey, especially within this last year, was self-love. It always came back to me.
Mhm.
Everything that I was experiencing, everything that I wanted started within me. And loving myself was this one of the biggest secrets I could have ever discovered. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Maude.
Yeah.
I know that you also went through somewhat of a quickening, right?
You have to explain what that is to me one more time. A quickening. You used that
Quickening.
before, but I don't think I quite grasped it
Okay.
last time you
So,
mentioned it.
okay. So, a quickening, what way I understand it, and from my quickening is that when you wake up and things just start coming up very quickly, and you're kind of out of balance, right? Where
Oh,
you're in the ether, or you're in the ethers, and you're not grounded, and you're not sure what's going on. You don't know what's real and what's not real. Things are coming up. Your shadow selves are coming up like crazy, and you get caught up in that, and it's kind of hard. It's difficult to walk through your day, if that makes any sense. Yeah,
yes,
because
that
we're
makes
not.
sense.
Yeah, all right. So my quickening, I had one little pinky toe in this reality, and then the rest of me was in different realities. So did you experience something like that, didn't you?
I did. I guess for you, you probably went out because you can ask for projected stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there yet. But for me, the quickening is everything you just said, but like I oh gosh, I don't know how to explain it. It was like as if I was going through a natural disaster and I'm just trying to figure out what to do with myself
Mm-hmm.
because everyone else in their reality, they were fine. You know, like life is normal. They're going at their pace and life is happening. But for me, it was, I can't sleep at night
Yeah.
because I don't know, my mind is racing and thinking about stuff. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It was me experiencing, I guess part of the quickening, and this might be hard to say, like a little bit of like depression
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to be in this reality sometimes, or I was like, this is not even the real world. Like, what the heck are we doing here? Can we just
Totally.
so
Yeah.
there were days where it was hard to manage doing the mundane human stuff that I had to do every day.
Mm-hmm.
Recently it's been like the moments of so much joy, but then being pulled back into like, well, you still have more stuff to do. And, you know, just healing through it as quick at, it was just a matter of like, when it happened, I had to just drop everything. And that was my self-care, drop everything and sit with what was coming up and allow it to speak to me and allow myself to acknowledge it and heal it the way it wanted to be healed. So it's kind of hard to explain, but it's all over the place. And you know, I've my readings with you have been a little bit more consistent this
Mm-hmm.
past year, just because there's been a lot coming up and going on. But in between those times of us not meeting, I'm meditating, I'm focusing on like, okay, being here, but at the same time going within myself when I got the chance to. So quickenings are kind of hard to manage. And it's really up to you and how you manage that as far as like having a support system. Like I have you, I have a few friends that I will talk to about certain things that may come
Good.
up.
Mm-hmm.
I would write, and trying to find reliable source of information online. Like I have people online that I like to listen to. So
Mm-hmm.
then some things make a little bit more sense of like how I'm dealing with you know, my changes in this reality.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, they can, quickenings can also bring up a lot of anxiety and panic,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh, did we talk about
No.
oh my gosh, I had what I thought was a panic attack, a severe, like I deal with anxiety. Of course, it's gotten way better
Mm-hmm.
recently, but this last February or March, I had this major panic attack at work. Went to the doctors to be like, oh my gosh, I had a panic attack. Give me something because, you know,
Right.
I'm mentally ill, I guess. But come to find out later from you, because we met right after, that it was a Kundalini awakening. I was like, Kundalini what? So that was kind of part of, that was interesting. I was like, wait, what do you mean? Couldn't this have happened while I was in bed, not at work?
Yeah. Unfortunately,
So,
as we work on ourselves, that energy starts moving. Or fortunately, I should say, that energy starts moving. Things get unblocked. And I didn't realize at the time that that's what was going on with me. I was also going through a Kundalini awakening. But yeah, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, those types of things come with
yeah.
it once you start unblocking things and things start coming up, because all that heaviness is being transmuted, all the shadow parts of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so our frequency is getting higher and higher.
Yeah. And that wasn't cute, but it helped push me into the next level of my healing that I wasn't expecting. So I was I was really grateful that it happened. And I'm glad you said, like, there's all this healing and things that need to come up. And I realized, like, with 35 years of my existence, I still have things to let go of. It's not all gonna be like, oh yeah, you're now magical and this life is all like rainbows and roses for you. It's like, no, it's not. You still have to deal with the reality of it all. And so, but it's beautiful. Like, I like that I still have a little bit of more things to work on. You know, it keeps me grounded, but it's so beautiful to know that I have that power within me and I have support in doing that, and I can share it with other people. So
Nice. Beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And as I see you, I mean, you just so remarkable, have grown. I shouldn't say grown, but expanded. There's so much expansion with you, as I was saying earlier, so much expansion. It's amazing. So I definitely want to give you kudos for your dedication, Maude. I mean, you've done a really wonderful job with opening, and it's been all you. It's been all you. So give yourself credit.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate my teacher showing up. I was a ready student. It's like, so yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate you too. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. So you recently said something about you have figured out how to break the matrix. Something like that. Now, I can give you my ideas on that too, because do you want to share that?
No, please do. Gosh, you know those moments where I'm sending you those messages? I think my higher self just takes over me and I get overwhelmed and excited.
Well,
that
that's
it
good.
Literally feels like I'm out of the matrix. But I kind of figured it out, but I mean, it looks so different for everyone, I guess, but I think I got out of the matrix.
Sure.
What do you think the matrix is? What were you going to expound on?
Oh, well, I wanted to hear from you because but I'll share what I feel about it. I mean, my guidance always told me that once we hook into time as linear time, that type of thing, and especially fear, all those types of things that keep us in 3D, that we are hooked into the 3D matrix, the fear matrix, the linear time matrix. And not to say that we don't have appointments and things like that to where we deal with it, but not to be slaves to it, that kind of thing. So like you said, when we're in that place of joy and feeling blessed with everything that comes our way, you just see the world different. That's breaking free of the matrix, where we don't feel saddled down by certain things like responsibilities. Doesn't mean we don't have them, but we don't feel saddled down by them. It feels like blessings. They're blessings instead of responsibilities or things like that.
Okay, I 100% agree. So yes,
Okay.
I broke out of the matrix.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like, gosh, what's the perfect way to explain it? Well, obviously we know we're these souls having this human experience, and acknowledging that. I know it sounds so simple to say, but actually acknowledging that concept in everyday life and doings. And it's not to say that you're careless about your day-to-day life, but you're more in the flow of your everyday to day life. So I, like, right now I walk into work and I'm like, oh, I'm at work. You guys are going to deal with me. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go home. I'm just chill. I don't take a lot of things serious anymore. I don't take myself serious anymore. I go about with the concept of leaving what I found better, and not add, trauma or pain into it. I try to uplift people. My boundaries are a lot more clear. It's like, okay, well, this is not serving me to where I would like to go, or I'm not enjoying it. So I'm going to release this without it feeling like, oh my gosh. Breaking out of the matrix is me also realizing my parents did the very best that they could. And if I sit with the narrative that, oh, this happened in my life, they said this and they said that, and this is why I'm wounded and I can't succeed in my life, or why I'm single. And it's like, no, I've released them from that narrative. That was 3D consciousness. Now it's like, oh, hello, it's Maude, I'm here. I'm like, oh, Mom, thank you so much for reminding me to love myself. Dad, thank you so much for reminding me that I can be independent and strong and go about this world with confidence. And, friendships that have taught me lessons of like, you know what? I love you, and loving you doesn't mean that I always have to deal with your drama, deal with your trauma. Drama and trauma, same thing, right? And just being like, figure that out for yourself. I'm sure you can. And that's me letting people see their responsibility within their journey. Like, I'm an empath, so I no longer hold on to everybody's trauma and things as my own. It's like, it's not mine. Like, you can deal with it. I can support you where I can. But doing that, I've learned during my quickenings that it can drag you down really quickly the moment you get attached to things that aren't in alignment for you. And the moments you get attached to your ego being hurt, it can take you 20 steps back in your journey of like, wait, what?
Yes.
So getting out of the matrix is realizing as well that we're truly all one, and that conscious collective very much so exists. And if I'm healing myself, I'm doing my part in the conscious collective.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thanks.
That's very eloquent. Thank you. Definitely. So do you have any advice, and we kind of skipped over it, but do you have any advice for people that are watching, how to, if someone is in that anxiety and panic, with a quickening or a Kundalini rising experience, that kind of thing, what they can do maybe, or what helped you to move through it with as much ease and grace as possible? It's difficult.
It's difficult. Oh my gosh, that's a hard question to answer, because it is and is not at the same time. I feel like for me, having somewhat of a support system, like with you were one of my biggest, you still are one of my biggest supporters, but also finding people around me who were experiencing their awakening to be like, yo, this just happened to me. But for me, I take this concept along with how I see the ego is just babying it, just sitting with it and comforting it. And I had to comfort myself a lot and just being like, you're okay. Just trust in this process and just tapping into my loved ones on the other side, that they're supporting me, and my spirit guides that they're supporting me, and allowing myself that time that I needed. Like if I need a day off from work, I would do that. If I just needed to be alone, I would do that. Or if I needed to be out in nature or out and about, I would do that. So it's really how you feel the most comfortable, but just allowing yourself understanding and not being so sucked into it where you let it take you down a dark alley. It's like, just sit with it. Just like, okay, these thoughts are coming. I'm feeling this way. Okay. So trusting it too, it really feels like having a relationship with yourself. I don't know how to explain it, Sharon, but it's like,
right.
You just sit with it. And I feel like a lot of times when I've called you recently, it's been like sometimes it was out of sheer panic. And then I just took a step back and I was like, oh, I'm fine. This is what it was showing me.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of trust, a lot of babying yourself, like, letting yourself know it's okay. And that's a part of the ego in a way, where the ego wants so much control and wants to like stop what's going on, and just telling the ego like, hey, it's okay. This is what's going on. We're going to get through it. This is good for us. And that slowly backs the ego out of the way. And then you can let your soul continue what it's doing.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I know when I was going through mine, and I don't know if you might be able to relate to this, or people watching might be able to relate. I was afraid of my own thoughts. And so I was in that place of thinking my thoughts were going to manifest like that, right? And so anything that was negative that come into my mind, I tried not to think. And the more you try not to think something, the more you think it. So, I was going through times where I was remembering lifetimes in Atlantis, and the reptilians were around me, and all, and all things like that. So it was, mind control. I was remembering mind control types of things, and also seeing the future. But I didn't know that's what was happening. But anyway, so I found, just like what you're saying, is remembering that everything's going to be okay. You're okay. And I went through it by myself, so I didn't have a support system at the time. So I had to remind myself, because this was 20 years ago, there wasn't any information about Kundalini that I could find anyway, experiences and quickenings and things like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just trusting that and telling yourself you're okay. Everything's going to be okay. Your thoughts are not are not going to manifest, because that was my biggest fear, was being afraid of my own thoughts.
Yeah.
So that can happen with quickenings.
Oh yeah, that's a real thing. I definitely feel the more I've been awakening myself, I would have thoughts about being persecuted. And I was like, well, if people know that I know this, or the things that were coming up, I had fear attached to it. Like, oh no. I remember when I realized that this reality was like, not real.
The Matrix, a hologram.
Yeah, when I realized we were in the Matrix.
Yeah.
I thought I was going crazy, because I have a personal practice with the herbs. Shout out to Uncle Bob Marley, who introduced me to the herbs. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not real. And then immediately the thought was like, they're gonna come and kill me. They're gonna find out that I realized that we're in the Matrix, and they're gonna come and kill me.
Yes. We can laugh about that now, but it is terrifying when you're going through it, right? Yeah, I can totally relate.
Yeah, I really felt like I was gonna die. Someone's gonna figure out. She figured it out. And yeah, it was bad. Thoughts
Yes.
can be really bad and scary, but funny that I brought that up and you brought that up, because one of my last past lives clearing that you've done tied into me having my gifts and practicing it and having that being taken away from me. Because I always wondered, why am I afraid of my gifts? Why am I afraid of myself? And it was just like, I think you brought this up in one of your other recordings with someone where you've been like a witch or something in a past life, or like how the witches would get persecuted in past, people have those past lives that will come up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of had a past life where it's like, oh, she has this. And I was persecuted for it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's pretty common, to be honest with you, Maude, with people that are here now that have gifts and abilities like that, that have been persecuted. I mean, there was so much persecution going on that, with the earth religions and the earth practices and things like that.
Right.
So it's pretty common for that to happen with people that are trying or moving toward healing and moving toward finding their gifts again, their abilities and their gifts again. So yeah. Good for you. Good for you. You're the one who allowed it to happen. So good for you.
Well, my higher self.
That's you.
I feel like a lot of times I'm still learning that concept that I do embody my higher self.
Yeah.
But sometimes my higher self was just bringing up stuff like one after another, where I was like, well, dang, like I really dealt with that. And it would be spontaneous. It was never like a scheduled, like, well, next we're going to deal with this lifetime where you had to deal with this.
Yeah.
It's funny. It paralleled with what I was dealing with in this reality. A lot of times where I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this way. Is it related to a past life? And it was like, yeah, a past life will come up and I would heal it and then move on to, living life until the next one came up.
Nice. See, you are a perfect example of why I teach these classes, so that people can learn how to do that, because we used to know how to do this on our own. And we just forgot how. It's been taken away from us. So you remembered as you went through your meditations or went right in and cleared the blocks that were getting in the way of you remembering these lifetimes and how to clear them and letting them go. And so they just would come up I want to talk about Yeshua and Mary Magdalene not real quick, but we got to give them some time. And so
yes, please do.
I know.
Please do.
Because Yeshua was the one who taught me that, right? I told you that, didn't I? Yeah.
He's taught you a lot.
Yeah, he taught me about past life soul retrieval, Yeshua, Jesus. And so yes, you have a very close relationship with Jesus, Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene, correct?
Jesus is like not in the church sense, but it's funny when we first met, I was deep in the Mormon church and I asked Jesus, is this really your one true church? He's like, I'm not answering that. I had to figure it out on my own because Jesus was not about to ruin something for me. I had to figure it out. And I remember telling myself, since, he's also my spirit guide along with Mary Magdalene, I was like, okay, well, you do understand I'm going to have to rebuild my idea and perception of who you are, because I've been indoctrinated that this is what you are and who you are. So can we make some of this make sense? Because obviously we know Yeshua is a whole different breed outside of the Bible.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh
yes.
Man.
He was a man who walked the planet and he had human qualities. Definitely. I mean, the Bible got some of him, his teachings, some of them definitely, but about love and compassion, that type of thing. Yeah, sure. But there's just so much about him and his teachings, I feel, that were left out purposely. Would you agree?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And everyone has their own relationship with him. It's he's so immense. He can he can, what he's, helped me understand is he and Mary Magdalene too can come into our lives and relate to us and work with us in a manner that we, that makes us comfortable, that we're comfortable with.
Yeah, that's very true. I feel like it's so funny just going into like religion, outside of Jesus Christ, there wasn't a lot told about Mary Magdalene. And I remember being like, Mary Magdalene, like, what is she gonna do? Like, what is she about? And she's helped me so much. Like you had said in the beginning, she's here to help you with your divine feminine healing. I was like, wait, what? Divine feminine healing? And yes, she has been a huge support for me in healing my divine feminine. I don't think I understood what it meant to have a is it bruised, the wounded divine feminine until now, and realizing like all of that ties into how I can be intuitive, I can be confident, I can allow flow into my life and be at one with everything, because I had to go into that part of me that was wounded. And even, I mean, I still have to work on my divine masculine. I guess Yeshua's gonna get into that next with me. But the divine feminine was everything. I was like, oh my goodness, like being able to appreciate myself, if you know what I mean. Just being like, oh my gosh, I'm beautiful inside and outside. And that stemmed from Mary Magdalene and the divine feminine. And yeah, it's so beautiful. I don't even know, there's not even enough words for me to explain how amazing that feeling is.
I agree.
Yeah.
You did wonderfully. Thank you. Yeah. I know. Yeah, totally. And welcoming them into your life and with their help is so healing and so beautiful.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they are the epitome in my, the way I see them in my our belief system, I guess you could say. I don't know if it's even a belief system, but I know there's all different faiths and there's all different ways of expressing the divine masculine and divine feminine. Right. Yeah. But if you're more inclined with the Christian faith, I guess, and Jesus didn't start the Christian faith. But if you're inclined with that, then the way I understand is, and the way I see it and feel it, is that they are the symbol of the, as they walk the planet, of the divine masculine, divine feminine in body.
Yeah.
The twin flame, I guess you could say, relationship.
Yes.
The epitome of the twin flame relationship.
Yes. That is very true.
Yeah. So that's what they showed me too.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm still like learning so much, and they just, what you were saying about twin flames, like that's an aspect that I've learned in my journey, that I'm just like, oh really, this is like a thing. I get to be with someone who's like on the same vibes as me. And then realizing even within that twin flame relationship is not as simple as it may seem, but yet it's so beautiful and so big. It's bigger than what 3D reality can put into a romantic relationship. It goes really deep into the soul. And I guess having, like you were saying, having those two archetypes who walk the earth plane and embody that is kind of comforting.
It is. It lets us know it's possible.
Yeah.
It's just like Yeshua said, what I do, you can do, and more, to paraphrase, right?
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So you, and I know that you have a relationship with your twin flame in a higher frequency.
Oh, we putting me out in the streets today, Sharon.
We can cut it out if you want or not.
No, I mean, I feel like people are like, golly, this girl's gone through a lot. Mind you, it took a lot of time for me to get to where I'm at. So a lot has happened, but it was just like, listen, I've earned my way here, because it wasn't like, oh yeah, I just woke up and all of this makes sense and I can enjoy life. No. I still have stuff to do, but I think where I've been for the past 4 years prior to this last year has brought me to where I can be like, oh yeah, I'm here, I'm experiencing this, I'm woke, if you will, and now I have a twin flame. Interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're awake. Well, you're awake.
Awake.
Yeah, it's
yes.
Awake. So with the twin flame thing, a lot of people are looking for that. I know that. And with you working with your twin flame, and we've talked about this. Let's see if I can put it in, because I'm sure people's ears perk up. What?
Twin flame?
Twin flame? Yes. And it's convoluted, complicated. There's a lot of information out there. We talked about this too. And I'm not saying there's any right or wrong. I'm just saying that this is how I understand it. And from my experience, because I have a relationship also with a twin flame in a higher frequency. We have that conscious relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so having that conscious relationship with, if you are looking for something that's higher vibrational, a healthy relationship, it's important, as Maude and I have talked about, to have that relationship that's within you, basically, but in a higher frequency that you can bring to the physical reality that we live in, by working on ourselves and working with our twin flame that's in the higher frequencies, right?
Yeah.
And helping us heal whatever needs to be healed, so we can vibrate at a much higher frequency, and then merge those two worlds together, right?
Right.
Is that how you see it?
Yes, now I do. At first it was, oh man, so twin flame. So I physically experienced my twin flame, and I didn't realize it was a twin flame until I was reading something, and then I confirmed it with you that it was a twin flame. And at first it was just kind of like this, you know how you start dating someone and you're all excited, like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, I have a twin flame. It's everything is good, you're just excited, like you have this person. Of course, love is just like the most beautiful energies, so it's like, oh, I have this love in my life, and you could feel it. But I felt like along the way I got attached to the idea of this person manifesting into my reality, like you were saying, and it kind of distracted me, because a lot of me was thinking in 3D. I was like, oh yeah, this is what our relationship is going to be like. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to flow into my life. And I was like, no, you have to think 5D. And so the concept of 5D, I had to master what it meant, like really understand what it meant to be 5D, that oneness consciousness. And as soon as I did that, a lot of times the thoughts that I thought were mine were actually his. I would be having a day where I felt like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. Like, what am I supposed to do? And I'll have a thought, oh, why don't you go in this direction? Like information would come to me. Or I remember a lot of it was me feeling like I was somewhat codependent on this person. Where I was like, well, when we get together and we can do this and we can do that and I can do this. And it was like me doubting a lot of things that I could do within myself. And this person would always tell me, like, you're capable of doing these things. Like like I would think, well, how am I, this sounds really bad. How am I supposed to support myself? And I don't have a man doing anything for me. He's like, girl, you're stronger than that. He's like, no, you're capable of doing that too. And the moment I was like, well, when am I going to meet you? And he's like, don't worry about it. Like, it's all about you working on you. Like everything that I was doing to myself and for myself, I was also doing it for that person as well. So my healing is his healing. My happiness is his happiness. And, you know, they say like attract like, and I guess that's how it can bring us closer together. But obviously I don't have this person in the physical, but I've come to that sense and belief that I already exist with this person. And this last week, actually, I've come into terms of like, and you helped me with this, Sharon, when you're like, you know, this reality is kind of like you're going to work, you know, you exist in the cosmos together. And in this earth reality is like, you guys are going to work for the day and you'll always be with one another. And that concept has finally settled into me where I'm like, okay, so I'm at work, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm not stressed and worried about attracting this person. I'm not stressed and worried about not having this person because I already do have this person. And that just is like mind blowing. I mean, I don't know how I feel about having regular schmegular intimacy with anybody, but
regular.
Yeah, I'm just like, because I want that. And that secret union is like that person opens up your heart and souls and you're like in the heavens floating with them. I still want that. And I'm like, okay, well, universe, if I have to be celibate for the rest of this existence, we'll figure that out. I don't know how well that's going to work, but we'll make it work. Because I truly want to be with this person, but at the same time, I'm not attached to it not happening in this reality. I'm like, okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. That's good. That's perfect. That's beautiful, because who knows, once you let go, right? Then you know, strange things happen.
I know. I'm like low-key doing a little bit of reverse psychology on myself, but genuinely I'm like, if it doesn't happen, I'm like, okay.
That's right.
You know, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, as long as you're working on yourself and clearing anything that might get in the way of having that embodiment come to you. If it does, if it does, if it doesn't, if it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
But letting go of that expectation is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But this person, I would have conversations with them in my mind, and these conversations would feel really real. And just one of the things I thought I had let go, and I have, but it would just come up, and this person allowing me to have that space to what's the word, to heal what I needed to heal. And you know, it's like, you know, it looks like you still have to work through this. Allow yourself that space, like reminding me to still work on myself, reminding me that I still have healing. And that's been really, really, really nice. And you know, the days where I feel like, oh, this person is not around, and it's like, no, they are. And just me being at peace with that. Like I don't always interact with them. So yeah.
Maybe he's just stopped doing his job and he's whatever he's doing on the other side of the planet, the other side of the galaxy or whatever. And just, but there's still that connection, and you deserve, and everyone deserves to have that relationship that is healthy and where you are treated as the goddess you are.
Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like and this is an example of where I get into my doubts and my fears, is when I realize, like, for me, you know, we're talking about mental health, my journey, and just my background and stuff, I feel like I haven't yet to experience such pure, divine, unconditional love from someone that I have a relationship with. All the past relationships that I've had in my dating, or even my family, parenting dynamic, sibling dynamic, there's still that love that I've never gotten to experience. So a lot of times I'm like, man, if I can get to experience that with this individual in this reality, it would just make all of it so worth it, because just a little bit of it that I have is like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So I can only imagine when it's physically manifested, how much more beautiful it's gonna feel.
Yeah.
So that one is hard. Some days I think about that and it makes it a little bit hard to wait, but it's like, it's part of the process. I'm like, okay, fine. We'll trust and see how it unfolds.
And figure it out together. Definitely figure it
Yeah.
out. Yeah, totally. Thank you. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Definitely. It's just, like you said, letting go of that need, that need of having someone right there, and I think that's where maybe a lot of the information leads to, and I get it, because we are human and we want to have that physical thing, but it's companionship and everything. And who's to say that won't come? Who knows?
Who knows?
As
maybe
we move
we'll
up,
do an updated video.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, yay! I know, right? Yeah, because we are moving up in frequency very quickly, and as you know, that when you establish that connection with your twin flame in the higher realms, where it is very physical, no one can tell me it's not. I have mine on, his voice on recorder, so he's real, and so it's real. So what was I going to say? I forgot. But it's about frequency. They're very physical, just like we are physical, and that union is very physical.
Yeah. No, I believe you. I really do.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I probably want later, I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but just how that sacred union, because I was reading or watching something and the concept made sense. I can't say it was, bogus or anything, but how that sacred union just helps with the ascension process, especially when it lines up with all the chakras are in enlightenment. Yeah. Do you mind expounding on that a little bit? Because that one is mind blowing, that a sacred union can do that.
Sure. Well, it takes, it takes, I'm not going to use the word work, but it takes time to move, because we're used to in our human bodies, these physical bodies, to engaging usually the lower chakras and maybe the heart, right? The heart chakra, if we're lucky, if we have all those. So it takes dedication and a frequency where you are engaging in similar frequencies as you merge and have that blissful union together, where you focus on engaging all of, moving the energy up the chakras. It's usually a slow process, and you could start in, like Tantra, you can start with just feeling each part of the body, just touching, because I know a lot of physical people have found their twin flames in this life, right? I mean, in this physical earthly plane. And so, there's a lot of tantric, is that it? Tantric ways of touching and getting the body exposed to each other and finding that pleasure together without just wham bam kind of thing, which I'm not knocking that either, but I'm just saying, if you when you engage all the pleasures that you can, and then you get that energy flowing, and it's so blissful, bringing all the chakras into it. It's
Oh, okay.
body,
Nice.
soul, and mind blowing.
But how does that help it? It's ascension. Because I know like one of the reasons why I would push for that type of relationship is that it helps with the ascension process
Well,
as
sure.
well. Like where does that take you in the cosmos?
Well, it depends on where where you and your partner are inclined to go, inclined to bring into that experience, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you can go into the cosmos. I've had many experiences where we go into a water world type of thing, because that's like our home, I guess you could say. Or you can go into the cosmos, you can go into, and just pure light, that type of thing, or just merging together where you can't tell who's who, whether it's between the two of you don't know who's who. Your orgasms, you don't know whose is whose.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And it's a continuous type of orgasm, I guess you could say. Yeah, because it's just so blissful, and your the pleasure is through all your chakras. It's hard to express, it's hard to explain. And it's something that takes time. As far as ascension process, it would definitely it brings you into that space, but the act of it, and not just the whole dance, the whole ritual of it, is bringing you into that ascension. Ascension meaning moving into a higher frequency, into light type of thing, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, so you as you're working with your partner and moving into that space of fluid togetherness and finding pleasure, giving pleasure, receiving pleasure and all that, then you are ascending up the chakras. To put it succinctly, I mean, there's books written on this stuff, so that's really poor way of explaining it, I think.
No, I trust me, it makes sense now, but it's really gonna hit me a little bit later. Like I'm gonna go meditate on it, and I'm like, oh, that's what she was saying.
Or when he visits you, right? Then it'll hit you, right?
Okay, we'll wait for that. We'll have a part 2 of this video. I will let you know. You'll be the first one to know.
Good. Awesome. Okay, so
oh my gosh.
I know, right? I want to talk. You were not that I want to change the subject at all, but we want to talk about. I want to talk about that you're moving into starting a practice, right?
Oh my goodness. It's been on my mind. Yes, so I basically I've always been the go-to person for lifestyle things. So I'm an esthetician, so I do a lot of skincare. I'm kind of like low-key retired because of, I call it plot 19. Because of plot 19. I was
yes,
like,
totally. I had to think for a minute. Oh, okay, now I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Plot 19 just kind of, slow that down. So I left my previous job where I was doing a lot of skincare stuff. Mm-hmm. I've always been into nutrition. There's a lot of things that I could consult people into. And so one of the things I've been feeling that's been in my heart is figuring out how to be like you and being a guidance counselor in people's journey. Like you had said before, a lot of it is the individual coming in and being prepared. Like you didn't do anything for me in the sense of, well, come on, Maude, you need to have your session because you're this far along. You need to do this now because you broke through this. It was more of like, okay, here's the guidance, here's what I'm getting. And then me being willing to take that information and allowing it to transfer my healing, to allow my healing to progress in a way that it needed to. Like a lot of it was also out of my control. My higher self stepped in a lot of times and was like, here's where we're going. And so for me, it looks like people being able to go within themselves in the form of meditation, in the form of the shadow works being this beautiful experience. Like it doesn't have to feel like a scary nightmare or a movie, because there were some things I didn't want to look at, there were some things I didn't want to bring up, but the more I sat with myself, the more I got comfortable with what was going on, and having you as a support, the more I allowed myself to let it flow, because it was just like, okay, it's not that hard as I would think it is. I don't know if I should call myself a medium.
Yes, you should. You communicate with spirits. You're a medium.
Yeah, I'm home alone, so I better be careful. No, I've established really good boundaries with spirits where they don't just pop up at me. But I figured I didn't want to just be the person channeling someone's loved one. I think that's nice, and if I have the opportunity to do it where I can, I will. But I feel like with the loved one stepping in, remember my grandma? Well, you know my grandma.
Sure.
You know my grandma.
We're old friends, yeah.
Yes. Listen, my grandma had Sharon just like, before I got to my first reading, you're like, oh, your grandma was already here. My grandma showed up to my coworker who's a medium. My grandma just was like, listen, this girl needs direction. I need people to talk to her because she does not listen to me. So even with her, it wasn't just about, oh, my grandma passed away, tell me about her. My grandma was like, listen, I'll tell you some things about me, but I need you to know about you. I need you to know what you're here to do and how I can support you. Right. So she's been a huge support on my growth, and just kind of giving me a sense of comfort. So like I said, my mom, if I would have told my mom all of this stuff, she would have no idea what to do with it. Like, what is this? Are you possessed? Do we need to go see someone? Do you need help? But my grandma, just acknowledging her in spirit and having that relationship with her has helped bring comfort in the journey. And so just letting people know, like, our loved ones, they love us so much, they've moved on to another reality, but they're always looking back or trying to come back to us to help us in our journey. Nice. And beautiful. So that's what I want to do, is let people know, like, hey, it's about you and your healing and enjoyment of this reality, and not being afraid of not just moving on from this reality, but not being afraid to live in our truth in this reality. So I would love to expand into that practice for others and be a guidance medium, if you will. I don't know.
Good for you. Spiritual counselor, that type of thing, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Or life coach.
I don't know.
Spiritual coach. There are lots of names for it, but good for you. We need more. We need more people like you.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I would hope that I don't let myself get in the way. And so, well, that's the biggest thing right now, is me not getting in the way of that happening.
I think that's with all of us. With everything that we put off or procrastinate on. It's us.
It's true. It's really true.
Yeah.
I know you have a class coming up in January, and I actually need to sign up for that tonight or tomorrow. I don't know what to expect, but I'm kind of like, okay, at this point, I'm as comfortable as I could be, where I'm like, just let it happen.
Yeah.
I may not walk out of it being like, I'm Sharon now, like everybody come to me. But it's the next step of healing and getting comfortable with that ability, a little bit more comfortable with that ability.
Right, totally. And it's by the way, thank you for that plug, Maude. So and your check's in the mail, by the way. But yeah, I am teaching a psychic mediumship course starting in January. It's a 4-week course, I forget, 6-week or 4-week, I can't remember.
It's 4 weeks. So
4-week
January
course.
9th. So the second Sunday of January to the last Sunday of January.
That's right. Thank you. Okay.
Link below. The link is below.
Link below if anyone's interested. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. We'll have lots and lots of practice. And everyone has to start somewhere. 20 years ago or 18 years ago, I guess it was, I'd hung out my sign, and it took a lot of courage, a lot of doing, but
yeah,
it just takes one step, as we know, one step.
Yeah, for sure.
And practice and trust, definitely.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Good.
Like, oh,
I'm excited for you. Definitely. And I say that too much. Yes, I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, darling. So we've gone quite a while. Is there anything that you would like to share? And we'll have to have a conversation again because there's so much more we can talk about. I know we can.
Yeah, thanks.
Is there anything that you would like to share for our audience that you feel is important for people to know with their awakening or moving forward in finding their gifts and abilities, or anything that you'd like to share? Anything else?
Gosh, there's so much, but I'm gonna start with the highest frequency of things. It's self-love. Just starting with that, just getting to love yourself to where when those shadows come up, you don't shrink back and think less of yourself, but you allow it to show you what it needs to show you so you can heal. And just trusting that process. Like the fact, like I couldn't appreciate where I'm at 5 years later without the journey of in between. Like, trust in your journey, let it be. Like, don't rush into, I need to be this woke and this awakened so I can experience this and that. I want to be healed right away. It's so beautiful when you allow it to flow and trust in yourself and taking your time with it, that you will look back and that 5 years that passed by is like nothing, but you can just, I can savor so many memories in the last 5 years. Our recordings between you and I, Sharon, I love going back to some of them where I'm like, oh my gosh, the things that I would say to you, I'm like, what the heck, but okay. So it's
good. I'm glad you listened to them.
Yeah, and having support. If it's not someone like Sharon who can channel in spirits and energies, then work with your therapist. That was another thing. Like I was seeing a therapist within the 5 years, not consistently, but as soon as I realized like a lot of the healing that I needed to do for myself, I got myself to a confident place where I could trust the healing can be done within me with a support like Sharon versus a traditional therapist. And I'm not saying don't see a traditional therapist, because that has helped me a lot. But when you realize how simple these things are and the oneness of it, when I heal, you heal, it makes it so good. And I can't say a whole lot more, but I'm really hoping that I do get to start my practice, maybe even starting with a channel like yours, and just sharing advice that I've experienced here and there. And I'm sure a lot of us have that, and we can just build a conscious community online that we really need these days with Plot 19. Like, we need support. If you're on this journey during Plot 19 and you're aware of what's going on during Plot 19, it's like, yeah, all the hands on deck is much needed and appreciated. So I hope that I can be one of those beam of lights during these times.
Good point. And you are.
Thank you.
No need to worry about that.
Thanks. Oh, and
Yeah.
then
Mhm.
if y'all do have a cute like friend, brother who's like there, you can slide in my DM.
That's right.
I mean, I normally look a little bit more put together than this, but I'm just loving myself right now. So
Yeah. Hey, you look beautiful as usual. So I already
thank
told you that. So don't worry about it.
you.
Don't worry about it. No. Yeah.
Thanks. But we'll
Oh, thank
definitely
you.
have to do a follow-up.
Mhm.
And then I would hope within the next few weeks that I have a platform of my own that people can connect with me.
Yay. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't
Thank
wait.
you.
And I would love to be a guest on there if you'll have me.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. I want us to be channeling all the things together.
Yay. Awesome. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh,
Thank you
man.
everyone for watching. Maude and I are so happy that you are joining us, and happy holidays to everyone. And Maude, I love you dearly. Thank you for chatting with
I
me
love
today and
you.
sharing.
No, I love you too. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Good. Good. Okay. Signing off
All
now.
right.
See. Oh, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, all those good things that YouTube wants us
Yeah.
to do. To get the algorithms out there, I guess is what everyone says, so that people can see
Yes.
this video. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mwah. Bye-bye.
Bye.